Hey there, Class 9. Okay, if you're staring at your civics textbook right now and just feeling totally overwhelmed by the sheer number of articles, amendments, and all that dense legal jargon you gotta memorize, take a deep breath. You are in exactly the right place. Today's explainer is basically your ultimate cheat sheet. We're gonna completely cut through the noise and give you a high-yield, purely exam-focused masterclass on the salient features of the Indian Constitution. I'm gonna show you exactly what to memorize, the traps you need to avoid, and how to totally hack those tricky case-based questions. Let's do this. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our game plan. First, citizenship and adult franchise. Second, equality and basic freedoms. Third, exploitation, religion, and minorities. Fourth, constitutional remedies and privacy. And finally, fundamental duties and restrictions.
Section 1. Citizenship and adult franchise.
All right, let's hit the mental reset button and start building your confidence with the absolute bedrock of our constitutional rights. India operates on a single citizenship system, so whether you're born in Punjab, Kerala, or anywhere else, you're simply a citizen of India. This was actually done intentionally to really promote a sense of fraternity and unity. Now contrast this with the USA, where you can literally be a citizen of New York State and an American citizen at the exact same time. But hey, listen carefully, because here is a massive MCQ trap. The exam might ask you about OCI, Overseas Citizenship of India. Now, while people commonly call it dual citizenship, it is absolutely 100% not dual citizenship in the strict sense. OCI holders cannot vote, and they cannot hold constitutional posts. Please do not let the examiner trick you on that.
18. I want you to burn this high-yield digit into your memory. 18 is the foundation of universal adult franchise in India. It basically means that every single citizen, 18 years of age and above, has the right to vote, irrespective of caste, color, or religion. But here's what you really need to know for the exam: the historical context. See, the old British system used what's called a communal electorate. But independent India, we completely threw that out and replaced it with a joint electorate. This joint electorate system is literally the bedrock of the largest democratic exercise on planet Earth. Resident voters of a constituency all vote for the same candidate, regardless of their creed. It's a real game changer for fostering true communal harmony.
Moving on to Section 2, equality and basic freedoms. All right, let's step up the intensity here. We're moving into the heavy lifting section of Part 3 of the Constitution, fundamental rights. I need your absolute, undivided focus right now, because this is where the bulk of your exam questions are going to come from. Seriously, grab a pen and write this down. Article 16 provides equality in government employment, but, and this is a big but, it specifically allows for certain reservations. We're talking 27% for OBCs, 15% for scheduled castes, and 7.5% for scheduled tribes. If you get one of those tricky scenario questions on your exam about job reservations, this is the exact, specific data you need to quote to secure full marks. Next up is Article 19. This one guarantees 6 basic freedoms. Let's rattle them off. Freedom of speech and expression, assembling peacefully without arms, forming associations, moving freely throughout India, residing and settling in any part, and practicing any profession. You've got to memorize all 6 of those. But here is a top-tier exam hacker tip for you. Take a close look. Notice what isn't explicitly on this list: the right to information. The RTI is actually an implied fundamental right, meaning it's implicitly hidden within the freedom of speech and expression. I mean, think about it. You simply can't speak freely if you don't know the facts, right? Okay, here is another absolutely crucial number to lock in: 24. Under Article 22, which deals with protection against arrest and detention in ordinary circumstances, a person cannot, under any circumstances, be kept in police custody for more than 24 hours without a magistrate's permission. They absolutely must be presented to a magistrate within that 24-hour window. This is a super frequent short answer question, so make sure you do not forget it. 24 hours. Section 3. Exploitation, religion, and minorities. Let's keep this high-energy momentum going and transition into how our Constitution specifically protects vulnerable groups. This is all about safeguarding dignity and preserving culture. I want you to create a strong mental association right now. Connect the number 14 directly to Article 24. Article 24 places a strict, undeniable ban on employing children below the age of 14 in factories, mines, or any other hazardous occupations. This right against exploitation fiercely upholds human dignity and makes things like bonded labor completely unlawful. Now, I am heavily flagging this specific text for you as a guaranteed application question. Look closely at the phrasing. Article 30 ensures that minority communities, whether they're religious or linguistic, have the right to establish and administer their own educational institutions independently. And the state, it cannot discriminate against them when granting funds. You need to burn this exact phrasing into your brain. When the exam inevitably asks how minority cultures are protected educationally, Article 30 is your definitive go-to answer. Section 4, Constitutional Remedies and Privacy. So the crucial point is, what good are all these amazing rights if you can't actually enforce them? Take a second to really let this sink in. Heart and soul of the Constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar literally used those exact words to describe Article 32, the right to constitutional remedies. If your rights are ever violated, Article 32 is the remedy that allows you to march right up to the Supreme Court to enforce them. If you see the phrase heart and soul anywhere on your exam paper, you instantly write down Article 32. No hesitation. To actually enforce these rights, the Supreme Court and High Courts issue formal written orders. These are called writs, and you need to know these 5. First up, habeas corpus. This literally translates to have the body. It is the absolute most important writ for personal liberty, and it's used when someone is unlawfully detained. Next is mandamus. This means we order, and courts use it to compel a lower authority to just do its job. Then we have quo warranto, which asks, by what order? To prevent someone from wrongfully holding a public office. And finally, we have prohibition and certiorari, which deal specifically with keeping lower courts in check. Now, what's really interesting about this is the timing. Timing is everything here, and knowing this will save you from a very tricky, commonly confused MCQ. Examiners absolutely love testing the difference between prohibition and certiorari. Here's the cheat code. A writ of prohibition is issued to a lower court before an order is made. It stops ongoing proceedings if the court is acting outside its jurisdiction. On the flip side, certiorari, which means to be informed, is issued after an order has already been passed. So just remember, prohibition is before, certiorari is after. Nail that distinction and you're way ahead of the curve. Okay, let's talk about a vital, modern addition to your syllabus, the right to privacy. You need to memorize this exact date, August 24, 2017. That is when the Supreme Court officially declared privacy a fundamental right. But, and here's the really key part, it is not a standalone article. It's actually derived, or sort of woven together, from Articles 14, 19, and 21. It protects your personal autonomy, your right to just be left alone, your food habits, your choices in life. But remember, like most rights, it is not absolute. It's always subject to reasonable restrictions by the state. Section 5, Fundamental Duties and Restrictions. And this brilliantly illustrates a core concept of civics that you just have to remember. Fundamental rights are not absolute. With great rights come great responsibilities, and of course, necessary caveats. Rights can be lawfully restricted for the general welfare of society. For example, under Article 352, if the president makes a proclamation of emergency, those rights can be temporarily suspended. Plus, in the interest of national security, Parliament has actually enacted specific restrictive laws, things like the Essential Services Maintenance Act, or ESMA, and the National Security Act. These laws safeguard the whole nation, even though they curtail individual rights to do so. Finally, let's flip the coin. Duties and rights, they go hand in hand. You literally cannot have one without the other. These duties are outlined in Article 51A. There are currently 11 fundamental duties, and you absolutely must memorize that they were added by the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. Trust me, this is a very frequent short answer question. They exist to make citizens aware of their social obligations, to stir up patriotism, and to protect our rich cultural heritage. All right, let's lock all of this in with a rapid-fire case-based test, exactly like the ones you're going to face in your exam. Ready? A minority group wants to set up a school teaching their specific language. Which article protects this right? Think back to our explainer section on exploitation and minorities. Do you have your answer? If you just shouted Article 30 at your screen, you are absolutely correct, and you are totally ready to crush this exam. Guys, the Constitution isn't just some dusty old rulebook. It's the living, breathing framework of our society. So, as you head back to your textbook, I want you to ask yourself, which specific fundamental right do you think is most crucial to your own daily life? Think about it. Keep studying smart, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.